Hey guys, it's Crossroads here. Today I wanted to talk to you about SoFi. Specifically, SoFi just hit a new all-time high. It's a fun moment in the stock when literally there's nobody that's down on SoFi except for those people that were bearish and went short against it. So for us longs, today was a very, very good day. It's been a really good couple of months. I wanted to talk what comes next in terms of a stock perspective briefly, but even more so as far as what's coming from a company perspective as well. So let's take a look here. So first, we can see this on Robinhood Legend. Here is SoFi. If we go back, it doesn't show overnight action or rather aftermarket action. But they did have a previous all-time high just above where we are right now. But we did hit a new all-time high today. And you can see how long it has been. It has been years and years. In fact, most of us knew about SoFi maybe, but we're not in SoFi at that time. There were some OGs, of course, that held all this time, had deep conviction, and congratulations to those. I got in 2023, early 2023. So I've been since about here. And boy, what a ride this has been. So is this it? Is this like we've made it? That's it. There's no more to say. No, absolutely not. Now you can see that the daily RSI is very close to 70, which means overbought. But you can see right here that it was overbought this whole time. And yet, nevertheless, SoFi stock still did pretty well. Now, there was some consolidation. That's pretty normal. But I'm actually expecting that what we're in, actually I know what we're in, is called price discovery. Price discovery basically is when technical indicators, when there's no previous all-time high, it's broken out of a range, it's broken out of a resistance or whatever people are looking at. And certainly when a stock hits an all-time high for the first time, you enter into what is called price discovery territory. What this usually means for shareholders is that the stock becomes more, not less volatile, and it can have massive swings up to the upside, but also to the downside as well. Now, I'm expecting, because the bull market is persisting, and there's a couple of other tailwinds that are very significant for SoFi, helping propel it to this all-time high, that we'll see more upside than downside. Now, I'm not a technical indicator guy. You can look at those. I'll talk about Fibonacci levels and certain things and retracement. That may well happen. I just keep it simple. Is the company going the right direction, and is macro helping it? Yes. So here is one of those two catalysts that I want to refer to here in this video. This right here is CME FedWatch. They keep track of basically rate cut probabilities. Of course, we had a rate cut already. SoFi at the beginning of this year was predicting 1.5, maybe 2 rate cuts. Well, that's where we are right now, 1 rate cut. And this is by the end of the year, by the way. The last Fed meeting, December 10th, is nobody, or basically nobody, is predicting no other rate cuts. 15% of people say, you know what, 1 more, it sounds good, to an overwhelming 84%. And this is shifted immensely. If you look right here, just a month ago, it was 33% are saying we're going to have 3 rate cuts. Thankfully, nobody says 4. That would be pretty aggressive. Based on the Federal Reserve's comments, Jerome Powell's comments as well, it seems pretty clear that they are very open to the idea of cutting 3 times. Now, a lot can change between now and then. We could see inflation really spike very high. We could see jobs numbers come in very, very good. That may shift things, but right now the consistency points to something that is more aggressive in terms of rate cuts than expected. So what does this mean for SoFi? It means almost everything in their business gets better. The one thing that doesn't really is, that interest level that they're able to offer those that have SoFi Plus or have over a certain amount in terms of direct deposit. But beyond that, it really helps lending. When the Fed funds rate, the overnight borrow rate, is decreased, most legs of SoFi does a lot better. Now, mortgage and some certain types of loans aren't really inferred. Student loans are also one of those too. By the Fed funds rate at all, there's like almost no correlation there. There's a tiny, tiny bit on the 10-year yield, which does infer the 30-year mortgage. But for personal loans, it's a big shift. Credit cards, big shift. Student loan refinancing, there's some shift there as well, and things continue to get easier. Of course, their loan book looks a lot more attractive. As the rates go down and the rates that they've lended against are a lot higher, that's just a really good thing for SoFi. So these are immense tailwinds for SoFi. So beyond that, what is coming next for SoFi? Well, we had this kind of unusual post by Anthony Noto, but he's been doing a few of these, been speaking and playing with more of an open hand recently, which I really appreciate as a shareholder. So the original post was here. Bill Gurley, he he's an interesting guy. I don't follow him, but I do see his posts quite a bit. He has a lot of followers. He is a brilliant guy. You can see what he's invested in the past, what he talks about. A lot of it's in the payment space as well. And he said now seems highly probable that a new payment alternative emerges in the U.S., replacing credit and debit cards on top of stablecoin rails. So basically, who is going to be the winner? What interested me is, of course, he had the big tech right here, and then Coinbase, Block, Robinhood, which it's a interesting mention. I'm sure Robinhood will eventually go that direction. SoFi was mentioned right there. Circle, Tether, Dai, which honestly Coinbase and Circle should have been paired together, but that's neither here nor there. New startup. Of course, he didn't mention PayPal. I pointed that out to him. He's like, yeah, there's only 4 choices. What can you do? So SoFi is an interesting mention because we see Anthony Noto actually replied to this and said, yep, I agree. So I agree with your thesis, Bill Gurley, that there will be a new large alternative payments network. Not sure about the replacement piece, which here Anthony Noto is absolutely right. One of the things that stablecoin proponents, and I'm one of them, oftentimes overlook is that there is still a need for the old rails and the way of doing things. MasterCard and Visa, they're still all over stablecoins. Makes a lot of sense as far as cross-border. And as far as cost savings, not as much here domestically in the United States, maybe just a little bit, but it's not compelling enough to necessarily make the switch and replace in whole. So I think Noto is on the money here. And only one of those companies you listed has a best, most sought after bank license to innovate across all key areas to gain the network effects required to have a great payment network. So guess what company that is? That's SoFi. The best license is an OCC national bank charter that can accept deposits that are insured by the FDIC, provide transactional accounts people already trust, checking and savings, earn federal funds interest rate on deposits at the Fed Bank, no need to buy treasuries or other duration risk yielding assets, offer loans, issue stablecoins, own a layer 1. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Blockchain, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, let's not forget they already own payment processing and issuing technology that processes 8 billion transactions a year. He talks about other inferior OCC license, the Trust Bank Charter, for instance. And of course, characteristic of Noto, fresh horses, we ride indeed. So let's look at this right here. Own a layer 1 blockchain. A lot of this stuff he has talked about before, but what exactly is a layer 1? You can kind of think of it, and this is oversimplification, so be sure to dig in if you're really interested in this, of traditional like railroad rails. You can imagine when they were laying the rails, owning the rails was very meaningful. It was very expensive, though, to develop and lay. Took a lot of labor, took a lot of time. And then even when you had it laid, you needed to make sure that you laid it across areas that people wanted to actually go so it would drive volume. So that is the layer 1. So layer 1 assets are like Avalanche, it's like Solana, it's like Ethereum, it's like Bitcoin as well. And these are what, for the most part, a lot of stablecoins run on level 1. You can do more than just stablecoins with level 1, but stablecoins need some sort of payment rails. There are some exceptions. Of course, Stripe is looking to do their own level 1 as well and use it in terms of payments, which you can do. I'm not sure if they're going to get sufficient traction. And if anyone can do it, it is Stripe. So, but this kind of made me scratch my head and wiggle my eyebrows. I wasn't quite sure what he's talking about specifically, but if we look at the stablecoin market, we can see it's just up and to the right, just fantastically growing. And so you can see with each of these, especially Tether and USDC, how many chains they run on. There are a bunch, but the thing is a lot of these are highly specialized and not all of these are layer 1s either, but a lot are. Now, PayUSD gives you a better idea of what this actually looks like, although there are some protocols that they are not using, but Ethereum is by far and large the most common of these. In fact, more than half of stablecoins run on it. Solana, certainly. Flow. Plume mainnet is something I'm not familiar with at all. Cardano is right there. I don't know why it's not popping up. And of course, Stellar Lumens today as well. But most of these flock to one specific type of chain. So it's interesting. It's like, okay, is Anthony Noto saying that they're going to develop their own level 1, in which case they need a lot of credible and incredible people and a lot of time and a lot of resources to do that? That's possible. They brought in Flory, of course. She's there. They've been hiring a number of engineers that are specialized in stablecoin and in crypto as well. So I don't know that they have the team and the talent there yet, but they could shift that direction, and perhaps they've already begun to do so. Could they acquire one of these? Yes, they absolutely could. You know, something like Arbitrum, If you look at it right here in terms of market cap, it's 3.845 billion. But that would require some dilution. Now, I don't know that Arbitum would sell for that amount. A market cap is probably not the best idea of how much it would actually cost to acquire one of these companies. It's relatively rare, and so we would really have to see this to happen to see what it would be worth. But it may be worth something like Arbitum, by the way, which is being used by a couple of different companies, Kraken and Robinhood as well, for real-world assets and tokenization. So there's a possibility of acquiring a smaller chain. I think that if they're going to go after a level one and make sure they own the payment rails themselves or own these more traditional rails with the level one blockchain, that this is going to be something that they might do an acquisition for. More likely than not, and Anthony Noto actually clarified his comments, which I appreciated. He said probably should have written level one or level two. There are new level ones that have speed and throughput that are both better and popular than level two. So he's right on that as well. But level twos are, basically something like PayUSD stablecoin or USDC or something along those lines. There's a ton of level two cryptos out there. They could develop their own, and they probably will. It's a lot more simple process. And so the level two, what exactly is it? You can think of, again, going back to that analogy of the railroad tracks that are laid. That's a level one. The freight cars that run on top of those are the level two. And so, of course, a lot of times those are different companies that manage the rails versus managing the cars on top of it. So we'll have to see which direction SoFi goes, and Anthony Noto goes as well. But I feel like when he mentioned and alluded to about 6 months ago that big, hairy, audacious goal that he wasn't wanting to reveal because other might go after that, it seems like Anthony Noto is so confident now that they're able to go in whatever direction that they're going, that he's showing the cards at least a little bit to us retail investors and also to the world as well. And why not? After all, SoFi is doing well, firing on all cylinders. And for a change, the stock is too. So what a day it is to be a SoFi investor. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did the all-time high shift anything for you? By the way, it's not wrong to take gains. I've not taken any since I consolidated my 2026 leaps. I still have many 2027 and all my shares. But it's not wrong to take gains. You do what's right for you, but I'm very curious if it changed anything or if you bought more and said, hey, fresh horses, we ride. Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing. Until next time, happy investing.